Hi guys, how's it going? In this project, we're going to do the VPC endpoints, hands-on projects, and if we check, this is the last part of the network VPC series on networking. And so, basically, we've done quite a lot. So this is the final project. Let's just read through this quickly. Welcome to your final AWS networking project. In this last project, we learned how to use your VPC to access other AWS services, specifically the S3. We use CLI commands. But there's just one thing. With this setup, your EC2 instance is accessing your S3 bucket through the public internet. How is this a problem? When traffic is going through the internet, there's a high risk of external threats and attacks looking at your data. For example, attackers can expose your EC2 instance keys to your AWS account if they manage to break into the traffic between the instance and the bucket. It's not great for security, but we need resources to talk to each other to build things on AWS. So to solve this problem, we're going to work on EC2 endpoints. These will give our VPC private direct access to AWS services like the S3, so traffic doesn't need to go through the internet. Just like how internet gateways are like the VPC's door to the internet, you can think of VPC endpoints as private doors to specific AWS services. Use VPC endpoints to directly access your S3 bucket from the VPC and test the endpoint setup. Okay, so we're going to start with on your own, and then we'll switch to some guidance, mainly because I need the code, but you should understand when we get there. So let's just follow and build architecture. So let's create a VPC from scratch and then launch an EC2 instance, which will connect. Okay, so we'll just do VPC. So we're doing two in one. First one, start from here, our VPCs. Let's create one. Next work. We'll leave everything as is. Choose one availability zone. No private subnets and no VPC endpoints because we'll create the VPC endpoints later. In the meantime, we'll create an EC2 instance. Let's launch an instance. Okay. Proceed without. Let's edit this. Enable. On this. SG next work. Yeah. Leave everything as is and we'll launch. Now we connect to the EC2 instance. I don't like doing that before the access keys, so I'll create the access keys first and then I'll connect to the EC2 instance. So filter by running. Okay. And then I'll go to IAM. Oh no. Okay. That's fine. Users, DevOps, security, and I'll create my access keys from here. Um, Okay. Okay, cool. No. So now I will connect to the EC2 instance. Great. Now connect to your X3 buckets. Alright, so first AWS S3 LS. Nothing. So we'll start with AWS configure. Then we're going to have to get the access key. And next we'll get the secret key. Normally we'll download this, but it's just this project, so I don't want to download it. And since we're in Cape Town, the region will be AF South 1. And we'll just leave this blank. And now we'll do AWS S3 LS. Oh, we didn't create our S3 buckets, sorry. So first let's create our S3 bucket. We're supposed to create a bucket here. Okay, I didn't. I forgot to create a bucket. That's fine. Let's general purpose buckets. We'll call it network. No, I'll just do this. I think I'll leave everything else as it is. And I'll upload some stuff. These are just files from network. Now if we come back here and we try this again, now we have our buckets, and if we try this, because we want to see what's in our bucket here. Perfect. So now let's create a new file. And then we'll put this new file into our S3 buckets. So up to this point, it's basically what we did in our previous project. Let's do this. Now we can see the new file we created. So if we check our S3 bucket and I close this, and now you can see we have 3, the third one we just created. Cool. So now we're done. Now we have to create the endpoints. So first we come here go to our endpoints, and we'll create a new endpoint. We'll call this network endpoint. Oops. Network endpoints knee. Here we'll choose S3, and we'll choose the one without anything else. And we'll choose gateway. Let's go. And we'll select our VPC. See, there are no route tables for this particular one. And we'll just create endpoints. Okay. Now we have to create a super secure bucket policy. This is where I need the code, so I'll just go back up here and I'll choose some guidance so I can get the code. So let's come down to create an endpoint here. Already created. Now the bucket policy is this. So first I have to go into the S3 buckets, permissions. See the bucket policy, let's edit it. And we'll paste the policy here. Replace this with the endpoint name. This is the endpoint name. Okay, and then the bucket RN. Yeah, and we will just replace this and this. Cool. And now we will save changes. And what this is going to do is going to block us from accessing the S3 buckets or to make any changes from the console, but it will allow us to do stuff to the buckets from the VPC endpoint. So if we save this, you could see in real time that we get denied access to everything else. Yep. Are we allowed to edit this? Yeah, we're not allowed to, yeah. Cool. So now if we come back here and then what does this say? This one said, now we try to access the bucket again. If we try, we are not allowed to. So now we have to go, I think I may just have to switch back to on my own because there's too much information I don't particularly need. Oh, I mean, well, on my own is fine. Access the bucket again, we did. Okay, if you can access the setup through, okay, so we have to now go to the endpoints. You have to configure the endpoint because you can't do anything yet. So if we click on route tables, there's no route table. So if we check subnets, let's refresh this. This is the subnet. You can see we have only 2 route tables. If we check our route table for this one, we have only 2. We don't have a route table, a route for the VPC endpoint. So we'll go to the VPC endpoint, then we'll go to route tables, and we'll manage route tables. And we're going to choose the subnet, the public route table, and we'll modify it. Okay, now if we check our route tables, you can see we have a route table here. If we check our route tables here, there's a third one. Cool. So now our the traffic knows where to flow. Oops, where to pass. Yeah, awesome. So if we try again, now we can access it from here. And then we can also okay, so now over here we can also stop the endpoints from accessing. If we go to this policy and we edit this policy and change this to deny, and we save it, we're not going to be able to do the same thing again here, right? Because now we've denied traffic coming from the VPC endpoint. So if we go back to the policy and we hold the phone, oh yeah, it's deny here, yeah. If we go back and we allow, and save, and we try again, you can see access is granted again. Cool. So now we have to delete our resources. And for deletion, we can't just, if we come here and we try, we are not going to be able to delete anything. We can do delete, and we'll try delete objects. They will fail. We are not allowed to delete the objects. And if we can't delete the objects, we can't delete the bucket either. I'm sure we'll receive maybe 2. We don't have permission to delete bucket as well. Okay, cool. So we have to do it from here. What's it? It's AWS S3. If we do, I think it's RP, remove buckets, S3, and we call the bucket. If we try this, we should not be able to. Yeah, remove buckets failed because the bucket is not empty. So now to empty the bucket, you have to do AWS S3 RM, and then we'll list the bucket again. Next work, VPC, and we'll do recursive. This will delete everything at once in the bucket. Yep. And then now we can remove the bucket. Now bucket is deleted. So if we come here and we just say console, there's nothing in here. If we refresh this, we should not find a bucket. Refresh. Yeah, the bucket is empty. And if the bucket is empty, now if we do AWS S3 LS, there's no buckets. Cool. We're done. So now we've deleted our S3 buckets. We've done all this. Next, we're going to just use the console to delete the rest. So now we can terminate the instance. And we can close this because it won't work anymore since the instance is terminated. No buckets, so this can go. Instances, no instances running. So, first we didn't download this. We used it without downloading, so we're fine. Next, we have to delete the access keys. First, deactivate it, or you could just from delete, you can deactivate it from here before we delete it, like we did in the previous video. Oops, no. Alright, access key is deleted. No access key. Cool. And now we'll delete our VPC. Oh, not the endpoints, no. If we can't delete the endpoints, but we could just delete the whole the private cloud, and it should take care of everything else. Deleting endpoints, deleting everything. So now if we refresh this, subnets, only default. Route tables, only default. Internet gateways, only default. Security groups, only defaults. Network ACLs, only defaults. Endpoints, nothing. Alright, so that's it for this project. It took us how long? 21 minutes? And that's it. All done. See ya.